Alright, what's up, YouTube? It is Monday, August 26th, about 4:30 in the afternoon. Some changes that have occurred in my life. As you all know, I've taken a hiatus from working or whatever like that for maybe a couple of months now. And I was, you have to excuse me, I have all kinds of things going on here. I was working on going back, and I had a really big dilemma about whether to go back or not. But this channel, each month, I was going to do a progression of, kind of where I am in my life and the different things that go on with my life. And the reason why is because with the being falsely accused and convicted in the criminal justice system, being a victim of the criminal justice system, a lot of changes happened. Not only outside of me, but with me internally. And a lot of those changes were because when you're thrown into a situation like that, you understand that, especially if you are a victim, you understand that everything is not what it seems. And I'm going to say this, my probation was over at the end of July. I wanted to make sure, because throughout the course, it was 4 years, falsely accused and convicted. If you Google it, you will see. But throughout the course of the years, I've been told that it was ending 6 months from the time it started, 2 years from the time it started, then went on to 4 years, and then it was supposed to be April, then it was July. And so I did not know for certain, whether that was going to be upheld. And in the criminal justice system, if you have been accused, convicted, falsely or otherwise, you do not have a voice. You do not have a voice. If you have a lawyer, it's that lawyer's voice. But you yourself, you do not have a voice. And I'm going to tell you that a lot of this is intentional. And the reason that I'm saying this is because what happens is a lot of misinformation, and you're running into circles a lot. Now, with my situation, I wanted to make sure. So on the last 2 occasions, when I spoke to the person that was doing a quote-unquote monitoring for me, I made it clear that when I reconfirmed each time the date that was supposed to be over, when it was over, that I wanted the documentation, that probably I would not receive the documentation by mail. So what I would like to do to make sure is, if they receive it in the office, if it's okay for me to come and pick it up, I would like to do that. Each time she said it was fine. Now, this is the end of August, because I wasn't doing anything active, so I just kind of took a break from everything. And I called her up, gotta excuse me, I called her up, and she was just like, well, the question that I asked her, they run you in circles, the question that I asked her was, have you received a copy of the notice that my probation has ended? She says, oh, you should have received it by now. And I was like, remember the last time I spoke to you, I told you that I would be coming to the office. And it's like they intentionally tell you things that are in opposition of what's true. Okay? Now, she knew, she had to know, because your memory's not that short. I told her each time that I went there, she agreed. Do you not remember? And that's scary when officers of the quote-unquote law can conveniently not remember or pretend like it never happened. I mean, her attitude was like, it never happened. Like, oh, you should have gotten it by now. Don't you remember? I was like, don't you remember we spoke and I told you that I would be coming by to pick it up? If that was okay with you. And so maybe it's a test to see if you are argumentative at all. If maybe that's what it is. So it's a test of patience, I think. And this bad thing about that is that those types of interactions, they train you. They train you on how you act in the world outside. For example, like I said about the situation with the landlord. Left him a note, no response, nothing. I had to go back again. That's the same type of situation here. Then about the roof, about this, that, and the other, the same thing. And that's the same thing that happens here. So I don't know if maybe the whole world has changed and the whole world operates that way, or maybe the other people that operate that way have been victims of the criminal justice system too, whether it's rightfully or not, and they've been trained, because that's what the system is doing. It's training you to behave a certain way. So it's training me not to speak up, to open my mouth, because When I called, I asked to speak to that particular officer. Officer picked up. I asked if they received the paperwork, saying that my probation has ended. What she says to me is, "Oh, you should have received it by now." And I said, "Miss So-and-so, remember the last discussion that we had was that towards the middle of the month, I would be contacting you to see if you received the documents and making arrangements to see if I could come and pick them up and receive a copy." And she says, "Oh, well, we don't receive the documents from a courthouse or anything like that is written up here." The last 2 visits that I had with her, that's not what she said. She told me that they would be sending it there. So the problem I have with that is that you're just telling me anything. Either you're not telling me the truth, or you're just not taking me seriously, when it comes to things that I need. And that's what the legal system does. It does not take you seriously when it comes to things that a person that has been accused needs. You know what I'm saying? When I was initially falsely accused and convicted, I brought to the attention of all these different pieces of evidence. No one addressed it. The person that was young that was helping me, she was trying to, but then they were telling her, "Oh, but the such and such and such." So anything they could to thwart somebody actively doing something positive on my behalf is what was done. Now, she says, and then I didn't argue with her on that because I didn't think about it at that point. I was like, "Okay, not a problem." And I said, "Well, when do you think that I will be able to make arrangements to come and pick that up?" And she was like, "Oh, the person has to type it up, so and so and so, and that person that handles that is not here today." I said, "Okay, not a problem. When can I follow up with you on that?" "On Wednesday." "Okay, not a problem. Speak to you on Wednesday." Then I thought about it and I was like, in my past life, I was the kind of person that always was detailed oriented. I knew who I was speaking to, when I was speaking to them, and why I was speaking to them. And with the legal system, it has made me a wuss. It's like I don't even ask a question. I don't even ask. I called into the office. The first thing they ask, "Are you a person that has been on probation or parole? Why do you want to know?" They don't tell you any information. None. And so I said, "Or were you formally?" And I said, "Yes." And so, it's just... And so then she says, "Well," and I said, "I just, yes I am. I just spoke to this person. And, I didn't ask them, but I didn't want to bother them again." And then she was really hesitant. And I was like, "Are you more comfortable, with putting me through to her again?" Because I really didn't want to. And she was like, "Yeah, you need to speak to her." I need to speak to her to find out, who the person is that normally handles that type of thing. Something just doesn't seem right. So, these types of things are very time consuming because you want to answer, and you want to answer that's the truth. You don't want somebody that just arbitrarily gave you some information that's not true. And then they will conveniently, as far as you are concerned, if you're a person that's been falsely accused and convicted, conveniently nothing you say has credence, so they do not even register it. They may know it deep down inside, but they don't even register it. Because now where I would go from here normally is they run you in circles. What I would go from here normally is I would contact the courthouse in Miami, and I would ask the clerk of courts there, how is this usually handled? And then I would stay on the phone forever, wait forever to talk to a person. It may be too late because it's now 4:30 in the afternoon. You see, all of these different things, all of these different things have an effect on how you continue on in your life. Now, the type of person that I was, by profession, I was an administrative person. Administration, operations management, where you make decisions. The legal system puts you in a situation where you won't ask questions, you won't make decisions, and you will not act for fear of something bad happening to you. Because if you've ever been in the system, they can do or say whatever it is they want, and nobody will be the wiser. They can paint whatever picture that they want of you, and nobody will be the wiser. I have a time limit, so I'm going to end this.